second episode of the Amnesia Jelly podcast. Once again, it's Max and Sammy who are coming across you through the airwaves to blow your bloody minds.
Hello.
So today we've got Sammy giving me a conspiracy. Last episode, obviously, we did the Hitler conspiracy, and that was great. So Sammy has
Since then, we have seen the picture of the supposedly dead body of Hitler, and I can confirm it does look a bit fishy.
Yeah, that's right. So since then, Sammy has been researching this Diana conspiracy in a way that I can only really describe as disturbingly autistic. He has just sheets and sheets of information.
I'm flooded by Diana information here.
I'm bloody ready to jump into the
Princess
coffee.
Diana is actually one of the
scolded.
biggest conspiracy theories out there. It's actually
Ever?
one of the big ones. Yeah.
One of the big ones is 9/11.
Yeah, 9/11's a very big one. But actually, I read a quite a crazy statistic that 85% of the UK population actually believe Diana was assassinated.
I believe Diana was assassinated.
What do you think, Finch? Our Red Eminence producer.
Red Eminence. The Red Eminence of our producer. Again, Finch is with us, as he always
just
will
nod
be.
your head if you think she was assassinated.
Finch does.
Yeah.
Finch didn't believe he was
that's 100%
assassinated.
right here.
Yeah. Finch, are you glad she was assassinated? Oh my God, he nodded his head. I can't believe it.
Hates Diana.
Oh my God.
All right, so yeah, I'm just gonna go straight into it. But before we get into the murder, we've got a lot of context to go through. So we're gonna go all the way back to the 60s.
Oh, the swinging 60s, right after Hitler died.
Right after Hitler died. Oh yeah, do email us in any point during this podcast.
Yeah,
anytime,
questions.
anything. Just tell us what you were doing today.
Let me know what your day was
It's
like.
amnesiajelly@gmail.com. We haven't got around to looking at the emails from last episode. So
That's because
we're not reading them because we're literally recording this one right after. Oh no, the illusion's broken. Anyway, so the royal family, you sort of imagine the royal family to be, you know, they're born into royalty. They're rich. They have everything they want.
I have heard this about them.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear they are born
You would
into
think
royalty.
that they would be able to have sufficient comfortable relationships with each other, but actually they're whole
cunts just like us.
Exactly, it's a bit like an episode of Jersey Shore or
Jeremy
EastEnders
Kyle
reading this. So
Jeremy Kyle should do a royalty edition.
so back when Prince Charles, who's the heir to the throne, the first son of our glorious Queen Elizabeth,
That was me kissing.
when he was
kissing the air.
24, he started an affair with a lady you might have heard of, Camilla.
Oh, I haven't. Who is Camilla?
You don't know who Camilla is?
No, I'm not very tuned into the royal family.
You're gonna find out who Camilla is.
Like, you gotta keep in mind, I didn't live here for like 11 years.
You're a
So.
bloody immigrant.
That's it. I'm stealing your jobs. I'm taking your education.
Yeah, so he was with a woman called Camilla. And Camilla had been in a long-term relationship for 6 years. With a man I can only call Andrew Parker Bowles. He was a cavalry officer.
Andrew Parker Bowles.
Andrew Parker Bowles. He's a cavalry officer, and he's actually the godson of the Queen. So a little bit. You see,
Is that a bit
all sort of-
incesty then, or not?
Well, it doesn't stop there. So basically, they started having an affair. They started fucking.
So hang on,
basically.
Prince Edward.
Prince Charles.
Prince
the son of the
Charles.
Queen.
The son of the Queen. Prince Charles, the guy who's had a kid recently?
No, that's
really
his
out.
son,
Right.
Prince William.
Prince Charles is he's friends with Jimmy Savile. He's a paedophile.
Potentially.
He's a
I don't know.
paedophile.
That's a different conspiracy. Next week.
Is Prince Charles a pedo?
No, Prince Charles is the first son of Queen Elizabeth, and he's next in line to be king after the
Yes,
Queenie gets
okay.
killed or
Yes.
dies.
So who's the Queen at this point?
Queen Elizabeth is still the Queen, 1960s. Okay. I didn't anticipate how little you knew about the royal family.
I don't know anything about the royal family.
So Prince Charles, he's having an affair with Camilla. Camilla's husband is Andrew, but Andrew starts to have an affair as well with Prince Charles' sister, Princess Anne.
Fuck, hang on. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot I've got to take in. So, the Queen we've got now is the Queen.
Yes.
Her brother.
No, her son.
Her son. So Prince Charles is her son.
Yeah.
Oh,
and she
fuck.
also had
I thought they
another
were
child.
Okay.
No, Prince Philip is her husband.
Got it. I figured it.
Yeah.
So Prince Charles.
It's not that difficult.
No, it's fucking Camilla.
Prince Charles is fucking Camilla. Camilla's husband is fucking Charles's sister.
So it's
Anne.
all crisscross.
Yeah, exactly. And Anne is only 19. And Andrew is 30 at this point.
Fuck. That's really fucking...
And we're in a strange position because you think 1960s, royal family traditions wouldn't really apply, but they do.
Yeah.
So Prince Charles is not allowed to marry Camilla because Camilla isn't a virgin.
Oh, shit.
Because she's been with Andrew for 6 years, and that's common knowledge.
Does he want to marry Camilla?
Yeah.
Do they all know they're having an affair with people?
Well, this is the thing, is Andrew and Charles are kind of friends, but he like has sex with his girlfriend like quite openly because he's the prince. He can do whatever he wants.
Yes.
So Andrew is literally cucked.
Andrew's a cuck boy.
Andrew is a massive cuck.
So Andrew's basically the Red Eminence.
Yeah.
Finch is a huge cuck.
But Anne really wants to marry Andrew.
Yes.
But Anne can't marry Andrew because Andrew's a Roman Catholic.
Oh, yeah, because they hate the Catholics.
Yeah, so they're in a strange position, but Camilla isn't actually that into Charles. She's kind of with Charles for the power. Right. She wants to marry Andrew. Okay. So they get married and both affairs stop. So they get married.
So hang on, Camilla prefers Andrew.
Camilla, yeah, she wants to get married to Andrew. She's been with him for a long time. She sees herself with him. She doesn't see a future with
So she's
Charles.
just fucking Charles for the status?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you think he's good in bed?
Well, I know for a fact how Charles is in bed, and we will get into that. I've got witness testimony.
I've been fucked by him, so...
I did a lot for this podcast, I'll tell you that.
I dressed up as a kid. I went to Prince Charles's house. I gave myself to him. I was in a little schoolgirl costume. It was terrible.
Yeah, so they stopped there having their affairs, and
so
Camilla...
The 19-year-old is fine.
Yeah. Camilla gets married to Andrew and becomes Camilla
Andrew,
Parker
the biggest
Bowles.
cuck.
Yeah, they get married in 1972 and they have a child. And guess who the godfather is? Charles!
Whoa, that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
That's a bit fucked.
So then 2 years later, Camilla's like, why not start fucking Charles again? So they just start fucking again.
So she's fucking the godfather of her child now.
Yeah. A good friend of Andrew and son.
And Andrew knew that they're fucking. Does he know now?
Andrew 100% knows. So what would happen is Andrew would get used to coming back, because he's a cavalry officer, so he'd get used to coming back home from the army to finding Prince Charles just in his house with his wife.
What the fuck, man? How can you get to a point in your life where that's fine? Where you're just like, oh, that guy's...
Well, I guess,
that guy's fucking my Prince Charles, old Charlesy boy.
Well, this is the thing, is they're all massive royalists.
Yeah.
So Charles can do whatever he wants.
Oh, so it's like a respect.
Yeah, exactly. Charles. I respect you. You can fuck my wife any day.
That's what Finch does, of course.
So,
to us.
So basically, Charles is sort of... trying with girlfriends, but not really. He really only wants Camilla.
So hang on, didn't Charles marry someone or not?
He will do, but at this point, this is 70, 74,
so
75.
he doesn't actually have anyone.
He hasn't got anyone. He is literally, Camilla knows how to do everything with him. Camilla is like just perfect. Great.
So what about Andrew's 19-year-old? Has he just left her?
No, he's just left her. He's not with her. Yeah, he's just not with Anne. So
Anne.
Charles goes for a few relationships, but like only half of them actually have sex, because like he's actually really happy with Camilla and doesn't need anyone else.
He's happy to not commit.
And these women have spoken about how Charles is sexually. So I'm gonna read some direct quotes now. So he was voted inaccurate as disappointingly inadequate as a lover. So here's some quotes. He's the least tactile man I have ever known. He made love to satisfy himself. He had he had the equipment, but he didn't know how to use it.
So what, he had a big dick?
Yeah, well, also, they took a picture of his penis, and it was actually leaked in the newspaper.
Oh, so we can actually look at Prince Charles's cock.
Yeah, he has a big dick.
Does he?
Yeah, but apparently he didn't know how to use it. Also, what would happen is his aides would bring girls up to his room.
His aides?
Yeah,
bring girls
his
up
special
to,
assistants.
I thought he said aides.
No. They're pronounced the same. My aides is attracting women.
Oh, gosh! Well, it is the 90s.
So, yeah, it's the 70s.
No, it's the 70s. It's a whole different ballpark.
So he would get women delivered to him.
No way.
Just women would be delivered to him and then they'd be whisked away.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he'd be shit.
But he did...
But actually, to be fair, if you're a woman and you've been fucked by Prince Charles and then he ditched you, you would say he's shit?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you know.
Exactly.
He might be amazing.
Oh, he probably isn't.
No, he probably not.
Hello, darling. I'm just going to get my penis out now.
Shit, I can't get your bra right.
Is that the vagina or the butthole? I do wish you were a child. I'll tell you that one.
So, but however, in 1977, he did propose. He did propose to his... Well, he met a girl in 1977. He proposed to her in 1979. Her name was Anna Wallace.
Is that the 19-year-old?
No, that's not his sister.
Oh, shit, that's his sister.
No, it's just a girl. She's like in a family of rich people, basically.
Okay, rich girl.
But this event happened in 1979 at the Polo Ball.
Finch is saying the podcast.
Finch, our producer, is not happy with all our paedophile jokes.
Well, my paedophile joke. The truth must be known.
I haven't read
Royal
anything
family.
about Charles being a paedophile.
The royal family's going to sue us.
But anyway, so in 1979, this thing happened at the Polo Ball.
Can I just ask, is Charles like generally renowned as like a good guy or is he a shit guy?
Well, Charles is... You know how he is sexually and how he is with Camilla and how he doesn't respect
So he's
his friends.
So he is a cunt.
Yeah, he's a massive cunt. Like,
Yeah,
for
but,
sure.
like, to the public
because,
as well.
You know, look, this will undeniably make you understand how Charles is because he had the polo ball. So he went with Camilla.
What's the polo ball?
It's just this event.
Oh,
I don't
right.
really know much about it.
It's
I
like
imagine they all eat polos.
It's a ball, a bunch of, very minty, and then they play polo,
How's the queen?
water polo, various forms of polo.
While eating polos.
Only polo stuff here. There's
So
loads of people dressed up as the guy from Mighty Boosh.
He went with his fiance.
Hitcher.
He went with his fiance Anna Wallace.
Okay,
and Camilla and her husband were there. And this is so what happened was him and Camilla started like frantically making out and dry humping like at this
in front of everyone?
In front of everyone.
What?
Yeah, in front of Andrew. Like loads of people were really uncomfortable about this.
What the fuck?
She basically said something like, "Not even you, Charles, can treat me like this. Like, and you never get a chance to do it again."
What, Camilla?
No, his fiance said that. But Andrew didn't say anything. He's a cuck. He just let it happen. He stayed with her for years after that.
It's all right, Camilla. I still love you. Just give us a kiss. It's all better now. That's not what I sound like.
I mean, basically, then 3 weeks after that, he met Diana. Charles met Diana. So it wasn't actually long before his last relationship fell.
But Diana's so lovely. Charles sounds like such a cunt.
Charles at this point is 33. Diana's 19. And Charles is the heir to the throne.
The guy's a paedophile. I know he is. He's definitely a paedo.
You can fully confirm.
Look, he used to play golf with Jimmy Savile. I've read this. I heard about this.
Yeah, I mean, so him and Camilla were basically an item, despite the fact that he was trying to like get a girlfriend anyway. Like he would go to events with her. He'd have advisors telling him, "Don't bring Camilla as your escort. She's married."
Fuck
and he
you.
would be like, "I'm the heir to the throne. I'm the prince."
I'm the heir to the Iron Throne.
Yeah, you realise a lot of this stuff is quite Game of Thronesy.
Yeah.
So he met her at a house party. Diana
I
described.
don't even know rich people had house parties.
Well, it's not.
What do you think?
It's not going to be like.
What do you think of rich people
student
house parties
party.
like? Hey, you come here much? Or?
You got any MD?
Hey, Johnny Bob, pass the ketamine, will you? Actually, I have never
Let's
been.
play Truth or Dare.
Spin the bottle, lads. No. Diana, will you ever be assassinated? Oh, guys, I can't tell you. I'll do Dare instead.
All right. Yes, I will be. Yeah. So he met her. She described him as all over me like a rash.
That's how I describe you to my friends.
Oh, you know Charles, to the throne. Yeah, the 33-year-old. He was all over that 19-year-old, all over like a rash.
Yeah. Oh, man, what's your relationship with Sammy like? Oh, it's just like a rash. It's all over
So
me.
they quickly started dating. She was introduced to the royal family.
Hang on, but she spoke so despicably of him.
She meant all over me like a rash in a good way. Like, oh, he was really into me.
Who has ever said that in a nice way?
Well, she probably said that when she was bitter about it, but like at the time,
She softened to the
you know
idea.
when you change the story, like
You know
after you're
what,
angry with
you
someone.
know
Like, I
what?
remember when we first met, you bastard.
You fucker.
Yeah,
You cunt.
yeah. Remember when we first met? You were all over me.
Like a rash.
Yeah. Like a rash. So they started dating.
Was this
she
after or
was
before Spin the Bottle?
This was much after. Yeah. So she went on like the royal yacht, the Britannia. She met the royal family, and they like gave their thumbs up. They're like, she is suitable for
Charles,
future queen.
The Queen just takes her aside.
listen! You're a fucking virgin or what?
Yeah.
Yes? She's good, Charles.
She's good.
You can have the pussy. I'll chuck her your way.
I can smell a virgin.
Can I drink her blood a bit? Please? Charles, no, Elizabeth. Come on, it's not the time.
This one's special. But what's also quite sick about this is Camilla was still with him, and she was saying that, oh, you need to get married, like you need to have a child, like you need to carry on the royal affair, and she actually helped him like choose Diana.
That's weird. Man.
Yeah, you're really uncomfortable. I can see.
Because he's a paedophile as well. so.
You can't stop calling him a paedophile. That's not part of my research.
I'm sorry, man.
You're ruining everything.
All the royal family are paedophiles. Jeez, everyone knows this.
So they were together for like a long time, and she really quickly noticed that he was with Camilla.
He was a cunt.
Yeah, he was a cunt, and also he was with Camilla. So the Sunday Mirror actually published an article claiming that Diana had left a party, snuck on the royal train, and had sex with Charles. But it wasn't Diana.
After the house party?
No, this was like in the future. They've started dating now.
But it was Camilla.
But it was actually Camilla, because Diana was home that entire night. And in the picture, it's like a woman that isn't her.
Fuck.
So Diana had the choice of either being like, yeah, I did sneak and have sex with him on a train, or he had sex with someone else on a train. So she just like said none of it's true.
So now Diana's like a female cuck.
Exactly, yeah.
Her and Andrew should get together.
But she hoped that once
Or Finch.
she hoped that once they got married, that would end with
Yeah,
Camilla.
He'd mature.
Yeah,
Be ready to commit.
So he went on a ski trip, and after 3 days of being back, he finally summoned Diana there. But it was a royal request, so it was very formal. She turned up there, and just Charles didn't kiss her or hug her hello or anything like that. He just was like, "Will you marry me?" And
But do it in a child's voice.
will you marry me?
Yeah. She's just sitting there, he's like, how was your day? Yeah, I've had a really good one. I've been scared. Will you marry me? Anyway.
Yeah, he said it so suddenly that she started laughing. She didn't know how to take it. And then he was like, you do realise one day you will be the queen. Got really intense. And she was like, yeah. And then he just disappeared to phone up his mum.
Mummy,
I've asked her now.
Mummy, I did it. Do I get my Coca-Cola now? I really want my lollipop. Please, Mummy.
After that, they didn't speak for weeks. So he just disappeared.
What
Didn't speak to her.
romantic.
Yeah, Diana actually got worried. She tried phoning the palace.
I understand
to
why
speak
you do
to him.
that. Like, Diana was fucking hot as shit. Like, why would you do
yeah.
that? I'd be all over her like a rash.
So then he actually all over her like a rash.
Yeah.
So he was going to go to an Australian 5-week royal tour, and he said goodbye to Diana at the airport, and it was a really shit goodbye, basically.
It was like, oh, goodbye,
Diana shed a tear. She shed a tear.
Of sadness or of missing him.
The reason why she cried was a few hours ago, she had to listen to him say goodbye to Camilla over the phone while she was in the room. And she had to listen to an over-sentimental, gushy goodbye from Charles, be like, oh, I miss you so much. Like, so she was realising that this
Guy's a cunt.
This guy's an arsehole, yeah.
It's like the worst boyfriend I've ever had. I wish I could have been Diana's best friend and just been like, listen, girl.
Yeah. You can do better.
Listen, girl, you got to sort yourself out.
So-
Jeez. She's like, yeah, but I'll be royalty.
So she actually she developed bulimia during that 5 weeks.
It's a great French diet. It's good. It really works.
It wasn't that good for Diana. She went through quite
I've
a
been
lot.
doing it for like I've lost loads of weight, man. It's great. Joking. Obviously, that's terrible.
Yeah,
of
it's
course.
it was very terrible. She developed bulimia in Buckingham Palace, and Charles was starting to admit to himself that
He's a
he
cunt.
had absolutely nothing in common with this girl and actually couldn't bear to spend time with her.
For fuck's sake.
So he actually went to his father, Philip, to say, look, actually, I don't want to go through with this
From one
marriage.
paedophile to another.
And apparently, Philip got so angry that he started like screaming abuse at him that Charles just ran out the room.
How old's Charles?
Charles is like 35.
This fucker is a pussy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't believe this guy exists in
I
a
could just-
world still. What a fucking
Just imagine
pussy.
Philip, the old like 60-year-old, like,
Hang on, let's act it out. Let's act it out. I'm Philip, I'll come in.
okay.
Daddy, listen, I must tell you something. Diana's a fucking bitch, and I'm tired of spending time with her. She really pisses me off. I'm going to divorce her. Daddy? Daddy?
You
Bloody please! No, I'm sorry! Get the fuck out of here!
And then he runs out anime style with like hands behind his back, like, woo!
So 3 weeks before the wedding, there was a belated 20th birthday party for Diana.
Aww.
But it was like,
Is she
quite a
still
little
bulimic
while.
at this point?
Yeah. So what happened was you can tell that she's emotionally unstable.
Yeah, she's
because,
vulnerable.
You know, like actually Elton John played at the wedding.
Oh.
There's a link. He's part of the assassination.
And he's a paedophile.
And he's a paedophile. A bunch of paedophiles in the room.
Fuck's sake!
Diana got too old. We have to get rid of her.
She's not 19 anymore, Daddy.
Yeah, but she actually stayed till 5 a.m. in the morning after all the guests had gone, just dancing, like all by herself.
What, like all a bit kind of vacant-eyed, kind of like...
Yeah, like she knew that this wedding was not a good idea. So she immediately drove to see her father, and she told her dad, who's Earl Johnny Spencer.
So has she had the wedding now?
No, it's in 3 weeks' time.
Oh, right. So this was just her 21st birthday.
This
I
was
get
just
it.
her 20th, 20th birthday. She drove to her dad and said, I don't want to go through with it. And he was like, it's your duty as a Spencer.
And then she ran out anime style.
Yeah, exactly. Both of them went to their parents. I don't wanna.
Hands behind their back. Pew!
Then 5 days before the wedding, Diana met with her sisters, who had also tried to charm Charles, but they had failed.
Fuck.
But
These
Diana had
people are so
succeeded.
fucking fickle.
Exactly. And they were like, no, it's too late. You're on the tea towels. It's too late.
What's the tea towels?
And it's just like, they put in her
Oh,
face
is that,
on the
the,
tea
is that
towel.
the royal way of saying you're on the rag?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
It's your period.
That's just a direct quote from them.
Oh.
That's what they said.
You're on the tea towels. You can't let it happen.
I know. Yeah, so they got married, and this is a quote from Diana. This is a few years after her marriage. She says, there were 3 of us in the marriage, so it was a bit crowded. She's, of course, referring to Camilla.
Yes.
So Camilla never went away. Charles was pretty much solidly always with Camilla during the entirety of their marriage. 2 days on their honeymoon, 2 days after their honeymoon, they were aboard that Britannia yacht. And
That
Charles
classic Britannia
was
yacht.
discussing his itinerary with Diana, and nude pictures of Camilla fell out of his diary right in plain view. So he's just like, oh,
What do you
shit,
think- what
my
kind-
nudes.
What do you think kind of pictures Camilla was sending? Like spread ass cheeks, like clear butthole, like wearing knee-high socks. How old is she at this point? She's old.
Camilla's the same age as Charles. So,
So,
this
like
is the thing
30.
is Camilla was an overweight, kind of old like woman, and Diana
I
was
love you, Charles.
get in
Never leave me.
who
Oh, these fags are good.
who was also married.
Chesterfields.
She was also married to another guy.
Yeah, Andrew.
And like Diana was like young and intelligent and quite beautiful. So Diana's
hot.
self-esteem was being destroyed by this
Yeah.
whole thing. Like, can you imagine on a honeymoon? Like, oh fuck my nude. Sorry.
I mean, that's happened to me on holiday many a time.
So-
I've been looking through my phone. Fuck! No.
So Diana's response to this was to start stuffing her face with food.
Well, I thought she was bulimic, so it's all attention seeking.
That's how bulimia. Oh my god. That's
Oh, no,
how
she makes
bulimia.
herself
That's what you
sick.
do. You stuff yourself with food and then you throw it all
Oh,
back
yeah,
up
yeah.
again.
I sorry, I got
Yeah.
anorexia confused with bulimia.
Yeah. So she started stuffing her face with food and throwing it up again.
Yeah.
And Charles' response to this was classic Charles, and started instead
Doing
of
the
trying
same.
to comfort, rather than trying to like comfort her, he just wore his cufflinks as a present from Camilla, which are 2 interlocking C's, like to show their unbreakable bond. Like on his honeymoon, while his new wife is like throwing up in the cabin very visibly.
This person is so fucking horrible.
So Charles just literally has no empathy, no love in him at all.
I'm putting it out right now. I think Prince Charles is either a psychopath, but like he has the potential to be as bad as Hitler.
So wow.
Like if he wasn't born into royalty, he could achieve like
But would
damage.
he still be a bad person? I mean, was it royalty that created his character? That's what.
No, I think you have. Like, I think he also had an element of just he's born a cunt.
This is what I've been trying to prove with the context is even if they didn't kill Diana, they're still cunts.
They're still fucking
They're still
cunts.
really horrible people.
Prince Charles is like literally purely disgusting. I fucking hate him. I'm really pissed off.
You're
about
really
this guy.
angry.
Yeah, it really upsets me.
Yeah.
Princess Diana was nice. Everyone loved her.
Yeah, everyone loved Princess Diana. So this is what started to happen is Princess Diana got a massive amount of media attention and she started to rebuild all the like reputation that was lost by the royal family in 3 years since she got married. The royal family became like quite loved and quite respected, but before Diana was there they were like they're
Fucking
pretty bad.
degenerates.
Yeah, exactly. So and Diana
Which they
never
still
got
are.
much appreciation or respect for doing that from the royal family. She actually always felt like an outsider because she had mental health issues, because she had bulimia. So you know, they kind of, you know, they didn't respect her or give her the appreciation she needed to get. So she got pregnant with William and she thought, oh, well, maybe this will be the missing spark in our relationship.
I mean, look, I'm putting this out there now, though, at the same time. Like, Diana's dumb. Like,
Yeah, she shouldn't have gone through with it,
She
but-
should have just left him, like, straight away.
this is the
but, I
thing
mean,
is-
obviously, she's been pressured by a lot of people.
She had no one in her social circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, if she just had someone... I mean, she did leave him eventually, didn't she?
Eventually, yeah, but it was really difficult because they needed approval from the Queen to get a divorce.
Fucking hell.
So she got pregnant. She thought, "Oh, I'll have a like nice little happy spark," but it didn't happen. So at one point, when she was 3 months pregnant, she was heard to scream she intended to kill herself. When Charles called her bluff, she hurtled herself down a shallow flight of wooden stairs, where she was found by a horrified Queen mother. So the mum of the Queen, like, "Ah!" But like this is horrible. Like that she would make several suicide bids throughout their throughout their entire marriage, and Charles would do what he typically did, which was to completely deny it was happening and ignore it.
Go on, bitch.
Yeah. I don't really give a shit.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So jumping forward quite a bit. She had William in 1982, then she had Harry in 1984. Charles made a very, very brief visit to the hospital during his second birth. He popped in and went, "Oh, it's a boy.
What a
It's
fucking...
even got red hair." And that was it, and then he went off skiing.
What a fucking deplorable. This guy is so fucking deplorable.
So we got some extracts from their arguments.
This is upsetting.
So he would say, Charles would say to her, "How dare you speak to me like that? Do you know who I am?" So of course she knows who you are. She got married to you.
Fucking cunt.
You're just so angry with Charles.
I really hate him. Like, he's the worst breed. Finch is nodding in agreement. Doesn't it make you a bit angry, mate? Yeah, it's fucking upsetting.
Well,
You can't treat someone this way. I mean, I know I make jokes, but
Yeah.
this is fucking shit.
so what Princess Diana would do is the only attention she could really get, the only thing she could really get back at Charles and at the royal
Through the
family
media.
was through the media. So literally every time there was any kind of event happening. So when the Queen was going to...
Is that all the argument they had?
So, there's more extras from the arguments if you want to hear more.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So, she would say to him, on one occasion she threw a teapot at him, and marched away yelling,
so
"You're a
English."
fucking animal, Charles, and I hate you." And one time she shouted out the window at Charles, "You're a shit, Charles, an absolute shit."
You're a shit child.
You're an absolute shit.
That's so tame, though.
Yeah.
I would call him a cunt.
Oh, a teapot. No, my weakness.
Not the teapot. Anything but the teapot.
But yeah, I mean, so she would use the media attention. So when
Yeah.
the Queen would go out, she would conveniently appear publicly again, and the Queen would be quite pissed off to see Diana taking the front page and her being marched away and page 24 or something like that.
Yeah. Is this the queen we currently have as well?
Yeah, it's the same queen.
So she's a cunt as well.
Yeah, the queen.
I mean, she's a lizard.
She's kind of like a godfather figure in this whole story, really, because
shit.
you only really hear from her.
Yeah,
like, in
this
the
is
shadows.
like a Batman in Suicide Squad. The Queen is Batman in Suicide
Is that
Squad.
what you're trying to say here?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Diana became good friends with a Royal Protection Squad sergeant named Barry Banachie. So some people say that they had more than a friendship; they were actually physical.
fucking.
This was in 1985.
Okay.
But most people say that actually they were just good friends.
And your opinion is
she
that
just
as well?
needed someone to talk to. She needed someone to open.
I also
up to.
don't think it's like in Diana's character maybe to just.
Yeah,
fuck.
this time she was still saying that she was in love with Charles and
Really?
that she wanted the relationship to work because she had 2 kids and she had this image, but Charles was sneaking away to have sex with Camilla, like, all
And
the
just
time.
being a cunt.
And at this point, they were sleeping in separate beds as well. And, she was still struggling with bulimia. So they really didn't have much of a marriage. But they started talking. And at one point, Charles overheard her talking to him about his relationship with Camilla. So Charles immediately picked up the phone and had him, had him move to a different area. It was then, 2 years later, Barry Banachie died in a car accident. So immediately, this is the way that Diana found out about it. They're about to...
How long? 2 weeks or 2 years?
2 years.
Okay,
2 years later, 1987, after he was moved away, he died on a motorcycle with a collision. So Charles and her were waiting to get into the airport. They were flying to France for some reason. And just before they came out, there's this huge amount of paparazzi out there. Charles said, oh, I got news from the protection unit yesterday that poor Barry Banachie was killed. Terrible shame, isn't it? And then Diana burst into tears. And then he went, let's go, darling, your press awaits you. And got out the car, to force her to go out in public, crying about her.
Oh my fucking
But
God.
Diana was convinced from the moment she received the news that Banachie was the victim of an MI5 plot.
Yeah, this man's Prince
So she
Charles
was
fucked.
convinced that he was killed for knowing too much about Charles and Camilla. Now, there isn't actually much evidence to support this claim, really, because the person who did kill Barry Banachie was a 19-year-old driver who admitted that she wasn't able to actually drive. She didn't have a license and she killed him. It's very possible it could have been an MI5 plot, but I literally have no evidence to support
Do you reckon,
that.
if it was, do you think that's just Prince Charles being
Well,
a fucking...
actually, there is some evidence, actually. I forgot. So a few years later, Diana had another lover who was also a cavalry officer, and his name was James Hewitt. And if you look at a picture of James Hewitt, he's got ginger hair, and he looks a little bit like Prince Harry.
Oh!
But apparently they didn't meet until after he was born. But there's a lot of people out there who whisper and say, actually, they met a while before that, and it's secretly his child.
But hang on, how does that tie into the other guy?
Oh, well,
being
I'm going to
killed?
get into it, but now that I'm talking about James Hewitt, I've got to say that actually there's this amazing thing that happened. So James Hewitt, in his bedroom, he's only got one picture, and it's a picture of Prince Harry by his bedside table. And when he was asked about it, he refused to explain why.
Yeah, it's his kid, isn't it?
It's his kid!
It's his fucking kid.
Proven.
Fuck you,
Anyway,
Charles!
So James Hewitt said that he received 2 direct threats on his life, both from people he knew personally, and they said that it was in his best interest in his health that he ended his relationship with Diana, or he would meet the same end as Barry Banachie.
So him and Diana had an affair. behind
James
Prince
and
Charles.
Diana definitely had an affair. Yeah.
Right, so that's confirmed.
Yeah, that's definitely confirmed. That's confirmed.
That's definitely
Myth
confirmed.
busted.
The president
No, he
called,
admits
he's
it, yeah.
confessed.
Yeah, so I mean, basically she started to try and escape this marriage, which was going to be very difficult. So she orchestrated a book on herself. She claimed she had nothing to do with it, but actually there's a lot of proof that she definitely had
it the one
proof
you
to do
read?
with it. No, it's not the one I read. It's called Diana, Her True Story, and in it it's very open about Charles' relationship with Camilla. So there was a lot of genuine hate in the royal family towards Diana for leaking this information and making the royal seem bad. So to get back at her, they released a recording of her and a guy that she was seeing at the time. This is not James, this is a different person.
So hang on.
To the media.
So hang on. She was cheating on Charles with one guy, the ginger guy.
She cheated basically post 1987. She cheated on Charles with multiple men, at least 10.
Okay.
She was having a lot of affairs. So
Right.
this is the thing, is like Charles cheated on her only with Camilla from the very start of the relationship. Diana tried for a long time, but eventually just gave in and just
Started fucking lots of people.
kept going through multiple lovers, sometimes at the same time as well.
That's
so
a bit fucked.
yeah, so Diana didn't
But
have a stability. Like
I imagine
person.
that's just like.
James Stewart was the closest she went.
Yeah, I imagine that's just like a situation of just like when you're getting put down so much and stuff, you become starved for affection, don't you? And then you just start fucking getting it wherever you can. It's just sad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Poor Diana.
So she called him, his nickname, Squidgy. So these are called the Squidgy tapes. Or Squidgy
Is this the guy she was fucking?
Yeah, she called him Squidgy.
Whilst they were fucking?
So what was happening was MI5 was recording every single conversation in the royal household completely.
Right.
So they're recording everything. They said it was for security reasons, but they didn't store any recordings, which is obviously a lie.
Yeah.
And this recording was leaked. There's no proof that it was the royal family who leaked it themselves.
Right.
But it's very convenient that after this controversy, this recording was released. It was a bit of a godsend. So in it, she says that, she's worried she might be pregnant with his child.
Who's
And
this?
Diana, she says, like, I'm worried I'm pregnant with Squidgy's child. And she says, after all I've done for this fucking family, and like shit like that. You can read it online. However, they arranged a kiss and makeup tour of South Korea, which Diana was adamant she didn't want to go on. It only took the Queen to convince her to go. So
Listen here. You're going to go on that fucking tour?
You're doing her voice wrong. It's like, listen, sit down.
yeah.
It's me,
Hey.
the Queen.
Hey.
It's
Hey.
me, Queen Elizabeth.
Hey.
You like your salami hot, don't you? So do I. So go on this fucking tour and keep your mouth shut.
Hey, fuck you.
Hey, fuck you, buddy.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Why is there two queens in the room? Get the fuck out of here,
I'm
Diana.
the fucking godfather here. But they started arguing on the plane to get there. They started screaming at Diana and Charles, to go on this tour. They started screaming on the plane.
What is the whole point of this tour? The kiss and makeup?
Well, the idea was they wanted to re-solidify the idea that their marriage is working.
Right.
But, they're trying to keep a good media image. But it's just not working. Neither of them really want it to work. Both of them are fucking other people. So another phone recording was leaked. But this time it's on Charles' side. And this is a few weeks before Diana's recording. So it's revealed that both of them are sort of equally bad. But because Charles is an idiot, his recording is much more embarrassing. I do have an extract from it, and I would like to read from it today.
All right, who am I being? Camilla or Charles?
It's up to you, man. You're laughing already. Don't read ahead.
Shall I be... No, you choose, man.
I'll be Charles.
Okay.
So this is a very
Is this
small
sexual?
extract. Yeah, a little.
All right.
I fill up your tank.
Oh, yes, you do.
Then you can cope.
Then I'm all right.
What about me? The trouble is, I need you several times a week.
Oh, so do I. Oh, I need you all the week, all the time.
Oh, God.
I think that's got to be more orgasmic.
Oh, God. I'll just live inside your trousers or something. It would be much easier.
What are you going to turn into? A pair of knickers? Oh, you're going to come back as a pair of knickers?
Or, God forbid, a Tampax.
That's gross, man.
So that was released to the press.
Charles had a period fetish confirmed.
So I think some guy in MI5 was cracking up at these recordings on both sides, or just was a big Diana fan and was like, "It's not fair we released that recording. I've got this one. It's pretty funny."
That's fucking gross.
I know.
It sounds like, to me, that just sounds like teenagers, like prepubescent
Yeah, I know.
teenagers.
You hang up.
But who have only watched, like TV without sex in it. Oh, I just want to turn into a pair of knickers.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, or, God forbid, a Tampax.
It is-
What are you talking
It is
about?
a little bit cute that they've been having, they've been having sex like 12 years at this point, and
Yeah.
they're still like a little bit
They're just
teenagery.
gross. Chicken looking. Charles is a chicken looking fuck. Like, he's gross.
So the biggest reaction to this leaked recording was against Camilla, who received hate mail by the sackload. She also had a harrowing incident in a local supermarket where she was pelted with bread rolls.
Get her with the bread rolls!
No! Stop!
Not the bread rolls!
It's me, Camilla!
But, to be fair to Charles, royal affairs were very common. And he thought that Diana would know about this from the very beginning. And he would commonly say in their arguments, he would say, "Do you expect me to be the first Prince of Wales in history not to have a mistress?"
What are you? You're so unreasonable, bitch.
I just love that he goes, "Do you know who I am?" Do you know who I am?
Like Batman.
Yeah.
But like a cunty royal version without anything.
So they would try to edge Diana out, but again, she would use the media to outshine them. So when there would be a royal event, she would take the kids like go-karting or something and become like mum of the year. Like, we love Diana!
Yeah.
It would generally infuriate people.
Well, because Diana was like a good mum, wasn't she?
She kind of was, but she was very emotionally unstable.
Do you think she used them as a bit of a tool?
Yeah, definitely, for the media and against Charles as well. At one point, actually, what happened was William got hit over the head with a golf club.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, he got pneumonia. This is the difference. He got pneumonia. So he went to the hospital. Diana phoned Charles, and Charles was like, do you need me there? Shall I be there? And she was like, it's not serious. Like, you don't need to come. Like, don't worry. You don't need to be there. So he didn't go. And then Princess Diana, in front of all the media, just stayed up all night long with him, just to paint him as a villain. And then the headline that morning was, "What, you call yourself a dad?" So she would deliberately try and fuck him over and feed him to the media sharks.
Do you know much about like Charles's relationship with his kids and Diana, like kind of behind the screen of publicity?
Yeah, I do actually. I've got a few quotes from the actual kids during arguments. I've got a quote from Prince William who he said, he didn't say I fucking. He was like, "I hate you, Papa. I hate you. Why do you make Mummy cry so much?" And that was when he was 10.
Jesus Christ. Charles is such a cunt.
Yeah. So I don't think he had a particularly good... the thing with Charles, he's so cold. He's so unloving.
Yeah.
He was never really there for his children. He's
Do you know
always
what?
just
It's
run
funny.
off.
Like, I believe this has convinced me more that the royal family are lizard people than David Icke. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, as well... Yeah, he would just... I was going to say something, but I've forgotten it. But it doesn't matter. We're going to keep moving forward. Yeah, so she would try and edge them away. In 1995, Diana took part in a BBC interview for Panorama, which is like the most famous Diana thing ever. Like, so it's like a whole thing is just her interview. So in there, she was in full attack mode. So this is a very heavily like artificial interview.
Very loaded.
She did many takes. She chose her outfits. She did the lights. Like, it was all set to get a certain vibe, which was fuck the royal family pretty much. She said that she doesn't think Charles should be king because he is having an affair and he's vows. So she said he would be an unsuitable king, which was very common among people at that time. So it was like literally throwing him to the sharks. And, also she said there was 3 people in our marriage during that interview. So it was a big thing. So immediately after that, the Queen phoned up the Prime Minister, had him sat down and was like, "We need to get rid of her." So sent separate letters. They got divorced like very quickly after those tapes were released. And he also took away her royalty status. So she was no longer part of the royal family. She took away her princess status.
Wasn't she?
Well, the thing is the princess had actually launched a thing called, she was doing quite a lot of social things with her status, so she was expecting to keep that. So she started launching this thing against landmines. So she was trying to get landmines, she was trying to get them banned, because at the time there was like something like 20,000 people dying a month from landmines because they were unclear.
So she was doing a lot of like good social stuff through her royal status.
No, it was 2,000 Angolians a month were losing limbs by stepping on uncleared landmines.
Yeah.
So the Foreign Office Minister was saying that she was being irresponsible by doing this, because actually this was losing billions of money for arms companies in America. So this is where we start to get into the plot to murder Diana. Why did people want to kill her? What was she doing wrong? She got divorced. She surely was harmless. Well, there's two main plot threads. There's one in America and there's one in the UK, and the chances are they're both like interlinked. So in America, she was doing this landmine thing. She got really close with Hillary Clinton, who also wanted to get rid of landmines. So they had a huge influence on Bill Clinton, and he had promised that he would ban landmines, which was going to cost so much money. He was getting strong lobbying. People were trying to get him to change his mind, but he wouldn't change his mind. So it was actually quoted by someone who worked in the CIA as saying the only way was to get rid of Diana. But I'm not sure if I believe that personally.
It seems a little bit...
I don't feel like Bill Clinton.
I feel like that's very sudden, isn't it? Whereas like with the royal family tied into England, there's just this huge fucking build-up.
There's a huge build-up.
Like not only that, it's just they're personally
She was doing this
involved.
landmine thing for a long time, and she was warned by a lot of people to stop doing what she was doing. So she was getting threats. So she would speak very clearly that she was worried she was going to get assassinated.
Yeah.
So also she started dating this guy, Dodi Al-Fahid, who is
I do
divorced.
have to say though, like Diana's like obviously with all her mental illness and stuff, like I just think it's incredible how her like in the media just used like media as like a weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that was her weapon of choice.
Well,
And
this
it's like
is the thing.
fucking cool how she used it
She
in a way.
started a romance with Dodi Al-Fahid, a divorced Muslim playboy film producer of such classics Chariots of Fire and Hook.
Oh yes,
With
Hook,
Robin Williams.
the best film. Finch is nodding with approval. He loves it.
He loves Hook.
Hook's actually Finch's favourite movie. That's a fun fact.
So Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fahid, is an Egyptian billionaire. He owned Harrods, and then he had an unhealthy control in Parliament. So what he would do was he would actually pay MPs money to ask certain questions in PMQs.
That's cool.
And then he told the press about it.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So he did it, and then he was like, yeah, they're fucked. And he got 2 Conservative MPs sacked because of what he did.
That's sick.
And
That's
think
sick.
about the royal family, they're quite like conservative.
Well, like they're
So-
like, but just by
they-
the sounds of it, it just seems like purist conservative as well.
Yeah, exactly. And
like-
they had just lost the election as well, and I put a bit of blame on Mohammed Al-Fahid.
Yeah.
So she's dating a Muslim guy who's got a lot of wealth,
who's
which
like-
is actually
Who's fucking like he's basically like a sort of conservative parliament anarchist in a way. He's fighting it, isn't he?
Well, this is the thing. He had question marks over his wealth, so it might have been a bit dodgy where he got this money from. So a lot of people are uncomfortable about him actually being a billionaire, knowing Harrods. Also, his brother-in-law was the world's biggest arms dealer. He's one of the world's biggest arms
So it's
dealer.
all a bit fucking shady.
And it's very... People think that Diana deliberately went with
Strategically.
him because she knew it would cause controversy and she wanted to fuck off, like piss off the royal family.
Shit.
Yeah, so she met him. She took a cruise with his entire family. Where Diana actually opened up very quickly about her fears of being killed. She said that she was concerned that there were powerful people at court who meant her harm.
There are powerful
She
people.
lived. They're powerful people.
Listen here, they're powerful
She
people.
lived in
that after me.
constant fear that the nightmare world of paid assassins was all set to engulf her.
Fucking
That's
hell.
a direct quote from a dad who's a bit like intense.
sounds
He's really intense. Gonna engulf her in the flames.
Sounds like my dad. Listen here, Max. You're gonna be shrouded with stress. It's like crazy.
So there was a strong chance of them getting proposing
Proposed
and getting
to?
married.
Yeah.
There was also a strong chance of her being pregnant as well. There'd been a picture leaked of her with a bit of a belly, and the media had been going crazy about that. On the day she died, she phoned up a royal correspondent, and she said, I'm going to change my life quite drastically very soon. And a lot of people think that's because she was pregnant. However, there's no actual proof that she was pregnant. It's just mostly just...
Word of mouth.
But
witness.
the idea is that people in the royal family were convinced she was actually pregnant. They actually thought she was pregnant, so that's part of the motivation to kill her. Also, in America, so the 19th of September was the day they would sign. So they literally had about 3 weeks before Bill Clinton would potentially sign to ban landmines. So this plan was devised, apparently, to get rid of Diana, to assassinate her. So this is on the day she died. The Daily Mirror published an article, like not knowing about Diana, and this is it. Prince Philip has let rip several times. Several times recently about the Fayyeds at a dinner party during a country shoot. While on a visit to close friends, he's been speaking of his contempt for Dodi and how undesirable as a future stepfather to William and
Do you mean
Harry.
contempt?
Contempt.
Yeah, not content is the opposite.
Oh, he's content. I quite like
I have to say, I'm really content.
I really like Dodie. What a legend.
He's a good fucker. I want to hang out with him. He brings.
Contempt. Yeah, contempt. Contempt for Dodie and how undesirable as a future stepfather to William and Harry. Diana had been told in no uncertain terms about the consequences should she continue the relationship.
Oh, fucking shit on you.
This is in the paper on the day she died.
Shit.
But they didn't, obviously they didn't know. It was published on the day she died. So, how weird is that? So they thought, this is going to be a kid. He's going to be Muslim. He's going to be the stepbrother to William and Harry.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, they wouldn't know. The more racist people in the royal family would probably advise William
and
Harry.
The more racist conservatives and liberals as well, and Labour people as well. I mean, a lot of people would have issue with that. Although it makes you wonder, if she had this Muslim kid, would that have brought forth an era of more acceptance potentially?
Exactly, that's the idea.
It's a bit tragic if you think about it.
So she arrived in France and she went straight to the Ritz Hotel, which was owned by Dodie's father. And the head of security there is called Henri Paul.
Henri Paul.
Henri Paul.
Hello.
It's
me.
Paul. So
Henri
Paul was supposed to be off that weekend, but he decided to work there just because he knew that Diana was coming. And there is undeniable proof that Henri Paul worked for MI6.
Fuck.
And he had received money. I want to be exact by how much money he received because he did receive a lot. He received £140,000 paid into his account from the MI6 Paymaster's office.
On that day?
No, just generally. On that day. So what happened was he left at 7 p.m, came back at 10 p.m, and in that time he had got £2,000 in cash, which was found on his body because he's the driver of the car.
Yeah.
And also, the French government, he worked for the French Secret Services as well. They admit that he worked for the French Secret Services, but they won't say what he did in that 3 hours. Specifically those 3 hours. So it is an idea that Henri Paul was convinced to make Diana and Dodie go to the Arry Tunnel where she was killed. That was the idea, because what happened was when he got back, Dodie's plans completely changed. So Diana and Dodie had planned to spend the night in the executive suite in this hotel.
Yeah.
And also there's a chance that he proposed to her on that day as well, which is really sad.
Yeah, it is.
But once Henri Paul got there, he wanted to go back to his apartment, which was only a mile away. And he had convinced Dodie that he didn't need a bodyguard or a backup car or any security at all. He was like, I'll just drive you. I'm Henri Paul. Yeah, I'm Henri Paul.
Don't worry,
I'll drive you.
Don't worry about it. I'll drive you. I'm
worry
Henri
about
Paul.
a thing.
Hey, watch me go. Hey, I'm like a duck in the wind. Ooh, I'm Henri Paul.
So
that's what he's like. If you see him in interviews, that's actually what he sounds like. It's really weird. He's like, yeah, it's on me, Henri Paul. I collect little duckies. They have them all in my cupboard. Did I tell you that I'm a secret agent? Well, yeah.
So when Trevor Rhys-Jones, who was the bodyguard there, found out about this plan, he said, no fucking way.
That's a bit fucking stupid, mate.
Yeah, is he leaving without a bodyguard? No fucking way is he leaving without a bodyguard. So Trevor Rhys-Jones convinced Dodie to let him in the car as well. So Trevor Rhys-Jones is waiting for this limousine, and also Henri Paul is not licensed to drive this limousine as well. So it's addedly suspicious. So that was the biggest law that was broken that night.
A crime!
You do not have a permit.
That's the conspiracy. Why didn't they give Henri Paul a driver's license?
Well, you have to have a special license for a limousine.
It's probably because he's a paedophile.
Most likely. Charles is actually Henri Paul in disguise.
That's
me, Henri Paul.
I loved you when you were 19.
Don't you love me? Fuck me. So
Charles.
Trevor Rhys-Jones waited outside to wait for the limousine, and he spotted this three-door car, light-coloured car, waiting around there. Thought, whatever. He's a bodyguard. He knows these sorts of things. He's
wasn't it a white car?
Yeah, he knows it's a white, light-coloured car, white or light. The limousine arrived. They got in the car and they drove away. This is at
with Henri Paul
12:20. Henri Paul driving. Trevor Rhys-Jones in the front. Dodie and Diana in the back. The last thing Trevor Rhys-Jones remembers, because he's the only survivor, is he remembers...
Trevor Rhys-Jones is the bodyguard, right?
Yeah, he's the only survivor. He remembers that light white-coloured car following them And
Yeah,
also,
this is what I've read, yeah.
Yeah, and also he remembers Henri Paul being completely in control and completely sober of the situation. Because what we would learn is after the accident, French officials would say he was 3 times the limit. So what actually happened was this car drove along, the paparazzi started chasing them, but they got very far ahead of them and actually outrun them. Then Henri Paul drove the wrong way to Dodie's apartment. He took a left when he should have gone straight forward and down towards the tunnel. No one really knows why he went the wrong way. Perhaps because he was paid off that day with that £2,000 to get them in the tunnel, and he, in terms, was being fucked over because he didn't know he was going to get killed.
He's just Henri Paul.
He's just Henri Paul.
He trusts everyone.
Yeah, he's
a quacky duck collector.
a quacky duck collector.
Yeah, like it's just Henri Paul, man. Like fuck it. Like, can we really blame him? Like, you know, he's just naive. Honestly, Henri Paul's the real victim in this story. Hello, it's me, Henri Paul. Watch me go. Blah, blah, blah. So he does that all the time. It was cute.
According to witnesses, when he arrived in the tunnel, this white vehicle was waiting for him and like leapt in front of him. And it's this white Fiat Uno, and also a motorcycle with 2 people on board as well. Drove through the tunnel. The car swerved to the right in front of the Mercedes limousine.
The white car.
The white car swerved to the right, front of the Mercedes limousine, and the motorcycle flashed a bright light in the driver's eyes, and then that's when there was the crash. I do have some quotes to support that this is actually the case. So this is one. This is Francois Leviste, and he said, I said to my wife, there must be some big shot behind us. Yeah.
Do it in a French accent.
I said to my wife, there must be a big shot behind us with a police escort. Do you want to read it? Is that it?
I do.
Is that what you're getting at? Is that?
Where's the quote? Okay.
So I said to my wife that there must be a big shot behind us with a police escort. Then I went down the tunnel. I went down into the tunnel, and again in my rear view mirror, I saw the car in the middle of the tunnel with a motorcycle on its left, with 2 people on it, which swerved to the right, directly in front of the car. As it swerved there was a flash of light. It was an explosion of light, like a searchlight. But then I was heading out of the tunnel and heard, but did not see, the impact. I immediately pulled my car over to the curb, but my wife said, let's get out of here. It is a terrorist attack.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
That's why you're an actor.
That's why, yeah.
You can just turn into a character like
That's
that.
it. I just became that character, much like I just became Henri Paul, much like I become many other people. Like
So as soon as
I became Hitler.
soon as this car hit the 13th pillar
Yeah.
of this tunnel, Dodie and Henri Paul died instantly. Immediately died. Trevor Rees-Jones, the bodyguard, he had his face ripped open.
Oh my God.
Like literally completely ripped open. But Diana actually seemed to be in pretty good condition. None of them were wearing their seatbelts for some reason in the back. They just didn't want to wear their
What time is it?
It's the French way.
It's the French way, but
1997.
1997. Fuck seatbelts. Shit.
Diana seemed in pretty good condition. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt, but she lunged forward. It would only be known much later on that actually she had severed a pulmonary vein.
Pulmonary vein, like internal bleeding.
Yeah, so she would internally bleed like for a long time, and this is the thing that killed her. But because she seemed okay and she was actually speaking at the beginning, people didn't think she was in a critical position.
That's fucking horrible, man.
So the medics arrived. They got her into. It's not really right to call it an ambulance because in France, in Paris at this point, it wasn't really. An ambulance is more like a portable operating theatre, so it's much more sophisticated than our ambulances.
Yeah.
So this ambulance thing was criticised heavily, like because depending on which report you read, it either took an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and 45 minutes to get her to the hospital.
Yeah.
But actually, it had to go very slow because, you know, they were doing
operating
surgery
on
on her like the entire time. However, what is suspicious is even though they had radio contact with the hospital, when they arrived at the hospital, there was no like heart specialist there.
Fuck.
So also they had not got a bypass machine up and running either to keep her going like on a machine.
Fuck.
So they literally had nothing prepared when they got her there.
Yeah.
They just started, and it was only actually the heart surgeon, the specialist arrived kind of late, and it was only then that he arrived that they realised, you know, they had done it a bit differently than they should have done it.
Yeah.
Because actually what had happened was, I think it was it was a president, I think it was Reagan, had his pulmonary vein broken as well, but he got surgery in time and he survived. But because they rushed him to the hospital very quickly, he was able to survive. Whereas with Diana, it took a very long time because of the French way. It suggested that if this had happened in the UK or America, she might have lived, but we have no real way of knowing that.
The bloody French.
But what is suspicious is an hour after, you know, she was taken away, they had the complete tunnel where she had an accident disinfected and completely cleared and reopened. And this is the thing that's strange, is if it was a normal road accident, normally it's about 24 hours that is left.
Yeah.
So there was only 3 special traffic accident specialists in Paris at that time.
Fuck.
And by the time he actually arrived, the road was open and he was like, where's the accident? Like, because it had just been completely cleared away.
That's really fucking shitty.
Mercedes contacted them very soon after they heard, saying like, oh, we'll look at the wreckage. And they said no. Fuck. Which is very suspicious as well.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Also, after it sort of happened, French authorities denied there being a Fiat Uno there. Mm-hmm. So the witnesses were like, yeah, there was a Fiat Uno. And they were like, no, there wasn't. You're being crazy. There wasn't one. So they said there wasn't one. But really, when you look at the accident, they actually found pieces of the Fiat Uno car there. They found bits of its like brake light. And they also found paint smeared on the front of the car where it impacted it. So there definitely was a Fiat Uno. So after 3 weeks, they were like, yeah, there is a Fiat Uno. And they were like, can you search for the Fiat Uno? And instead of looking for the entirety of Paris, they looked in 2 boroughs near the tunnel for the Fiat Uno. So it was a bit of a botched investigation from day one. They immediately said it was an accident. French officials met and they said, all right, no one is allowed to say murder.
But it's like, that's how it is, isn't it? We were talking about this again last time. It's just like when there is like a cover up like this, it's just people are real vague. They're just like, oh no, like, just
exactly.
leave it.
I know this man, his name is Richard Tomlinson. So he worked for MI6 for 5.5 years and he was active during this time. And he's now a bit of an Edward Snowden.
Right.
But he's currently in prison, actually, for revealing government secrets. So he has said that there was a assassination plan in 1992 for President Soboldan Milosevic.
President Sebulba from Star Wars.
Yeah. Sebulba!
They were going to get him in the pod race. Good plan.
Of Serbia. It was proposed he should be killed in a stage crash as his car passed into a motorway tunnel on his way to Geneva. The idea was to have someone in a motorcycle go up in front of him and flash a light at him and get him to crash. So he was pretty certain that this was an MI6 job. What's interesting as well is the French authorities claimed Henri Paul, the driver, was 3 times past the drinking limit, even though his blood hadn't actually been analysed by that point. So it was literally just a guess.
Yeah.
So, but this blood test that they did finally release did show that he was 3 times the limit, but it also showed that 20% of his blood contained carbon monoxide.
Which is like a poison?
Well, I mean, carbon monoxide is like, you know, in cigarettes and stuff. Yeah. And a heavy smoker will have around like 10% carbon monoxide in his body, but 20% meant that when he died, his level was around 34%, which is a lethal amount of carbon monoxide. Also, if he had even 20% carbon monoxide, he would be like dizzy, vomiting. Yeah. He wouldn't be able to stand. You know, he would definitely not be able to drive. So this guy did some digging and he had an informant who worked in the mortuary in Paris at that time. And there's like 150 deaths in Paris that night. I guess it's quite standard, I don't know. But one of the people was an alcoholic who killed himself in his car with carbon monoxide. And it's said that it was his blood sample that they got and not Henri Paul. Henri Paul's family requested to have the blood sample tested to make sure it was his. They said no. They kept asking, and then eventually the French authorities said, we lost it.
Oh, for fuck.
We don't have this blood sample anymore. We've completely lost it down the back of the Sati. So, also the fact that I watched this documentary where they tried to disprove the Diana assassination plot, but they basically made a car crash at the same speed and to the same similar pillar, and it was exactly the same, and they tested other things. But the one thing is they tried to get the guy the same level of drunk as Henri Paul and get him in a driving simulator to show how easy it would have been to crash. but he kept falling asleep and could barely stand, and he just wouldn't do it. Like, he wouldn't even get in the car. He was that drunk.
Fuck.
So if Henri Paul was as drunk as his blood
Well,
test
you're forgetting
suggests,
one key thing though. Henri Paul is fucking unstoppable when out drinking. He could just fucking.
there's
do
also CCTV footage of Henri Paul on that night where
He
he
looks
like
fine.
elegantly ties his shoelace and stuff like that.
yeah.
Plus the fact that it was the bodyguard's jobs to make sure that someone who was drunk wouldn't drive the two
Yeah, absolutely.
VIPs, like the most
Yeah, it
famous
just
woman in the
doesn't-
world
it-
at this point.
It just doesn't fucking add up.
It doesn't
does
add up at all. So what did happen was the Al Fahid family did try and research into who was driving this Fiat Uno, and they did much better than the French police did. They tracked it down to a man. His name was James Anderson. James Anderson was a very famous paparazzi guy working in Europe. He actually had millions of dollars from his pictures, but he also worked for MI6 and the French government as well.
Fuck.
So, and he owned the exact same Fiat Uno, which was seen and also collected in evidence at the time of the crash. And he also boasted to people that he saw Diana in her last moments and kept telling a lot of people. Eventually, he was brought in for questioning by the French government, and then he said, like, "Oh, I wasn't in Paris that night," and threw some receipts at them, and they were like, "That's good enough."
Fucking hell.
And the receipts could have come from anyone, like they
Yeah.
didn't have to be him. And also he told them, "Oh, my car at the moment's not even working. It's on bricks, like in a field, like I'm not driving it," which was complete shit because people had seen him driving it, like, you know, around that exact same week. And he sold it a few weeks after the accident. Plus, they found the car that he had during that time period, compared the paint samples to the one found on Diana's car, and it's an exact match.
No, man. This is so fucking
But
shit.
3 years after Diana died, James Anderson was found 400 miles away from his home in the burnt wreckage of his new car. It was locked, but they never found any keys, and he was burnt alive inside the car.
Fucking hell.
And do you know what they say? Suicide.
Fuck.
He poured gasoline over himself and
Yeah,
and set
that's how
himself
everyone
alight.
does it.
That's a very uncommon way to kill yourself, and his family are trying to get them to reopen it and look at it as a murder, but that isn't the case. Some more like proof that, generally speaking, if this wasn't an assassination, it's definitely very fishy, and we should start considering it is an assassination. I'm basically convinced it's an assassination when I read this evidence.
You've convinced me, my man. You convinced Finch?
Finch, you convinced?
Finch is convinced.
This is some great information. Basically, the day after Diana died, there was a bunch of pictures of like the crime scene and stuff like that, and they were trying to sell them on. But then when they find out Diana did actually die, they thought this is not ethically right for us to profit from her death, so they completely stopped it. But the people they were talking to about selling the pictures to got raided the next day. So in the middle of the night, Leon Schul, I can't do French names. Leon, I'll just call him Leon.
Oh, Leon.
So Leon, a London-based photojournalist, was woken by his wife's screams. The front door was wide open. They had been robbed. The only things were stolen were computer disks and electronic equipment used for storing and transmitting photographs. And also, a month after James Anderson, the Fiat Uno driver, was found dead, a month later, his company, which he worked for, where they had pictures, was also raided by 3 men in balaclavas and guns for 3 hours, and the police did not turn up once. And they dismantled cameras and they stole computer
Computer
drives.
This shit is so fucked up.
Yeah, so I mean, the Queen, don't fuck with the Queen. You know, we might not want to say he's a paedophile in case we get put on the list.
It's just too late, man. We call him a paedophile so much now.
Yeah. Are you scared?
Yeah, man. Fuck. Do you think fucking Finch is an MI5 fucking informant?
No.
Are you fucking coming on down on us? Shit.
But also, so after Princess Diana died, a royal representative was sent to France. Even though her royal status was removed, Charles had her body embalmed, so it was preserved. This was illegal because Charles was not the next of kin because they were divorced.
Yes.
This could only be decided by their mother, and also a full autopsy had not been done. So this balming was taking place, and her stomach was filled with this acid. So basically, like, there's no way to tell if she was pregnant anymore. She was flown straight to London, and she was buried very quickly. So, I mean, this is the situation here, is that we
honest,
don't know
man,
if she was pregnant.
The most horrific aspect of this to me is just like how like a group of people that like are celebrated here in this country can, like, even if we take the conspiracy out of it, like treat a human being like that. Like, really fucking kick about someone, and like the moment they start to fight back, it's just like they fucking it's fucked.
Yeah, Mohammed Al Fahad is convinced that his son was killed by the royal family. Well, the end of our stories is Charles got to marry Camilla. So him and Camilla are now married.
I guess that's a happy ending. And what happened to old Andrew, Camilla's boyfriend?
Oh, I don't know what happened to Andrew. He won the world's biggest cuck award.
Fuck.
I think I'm done. I think that's all my information.
I don't know, man. I feel
Guys,
really like
email
worn
us
out.
in. Tell us what you think about Princess Diana.
Also, if you've got any kind of conspiracies that you feel like you want us to cover, email us in as well.
Just email us anything.
We're
just
ready to
lonely.
take any suggestions. I don't have any friends. I don't like Sammy very much. So an email would be really great to fill my time.
amnesiajelly@gmail.com.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And I guess we'll see you next week with our next episode, which will be on whether the frogs are turning us gay.
They are.